Welcome back, guys. I'm here again in the studio with none other than Bob Allen, the wealth creating maestro. I don't know anyone more creative than you, Bob, honestly.
Well, you should see my creative bad deals, so let's not show you those. But creativity, I love creativity because it means you get to solve problems in different ways that are unconventional. I'm the unconventional creative guy. And now we're moving into a time frame where this is perfect. Over the last 10 years, it's all been cash, cash, cash. Refinance it, and lots of money is available. Everybody's fighting for the same deal, but now things are much more creative. This is my time.
Yeah.
This is the time when creative financing is really, we're meant for this time because we're a lot of highly motivated sellers who will accept more creative financing opportunities than they ever would have before. Even a year ago, 2 years ago, they wouldn't even have considered some of the creative opportunities we have. But now they're going, uh-oh, I can't sell this. What am I going to have to do? I got to get creative, and I've got the solution. There are 50 nothing down techniques, all creative ways of buying property without your money.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of, deals that are only available now as opposed to a year or two ago, I mean, everybody knows the housing market exploded, right? I read a stat that really hit me this week. It said 32% of median household people use 32% of their household income to purchase their home these days, which is up from 20% pre-pandemic. That means 37% of your paycheck is going to your home, right? Instead of the 20% previous. So what that means is, people are stretched for cash, right? First off, what implications does that have for the market as a whole? Because you can only pay so much of your income to go to your house. So does that mean that the market is going to level off and not, appreciate as fast, or will it crash? What do you think about that?
Well, you're talking macroeconomics.
Right.
You're saying everybody is paying 32%. But we don't play the macro game. We play the micro game. And that means I'm going to look for the highly motivated seller, and I'm going to negotiate something that is 20% of my income. Mm-hmm. I'm going to look for a person who will sell it to me below the market. I'm going to assume the monthly payments that they have on the loan they got at 3.3%, where everybody's out there is going to pay 7.2%. No wonder they're paying 32% of their income. But if you're making the monthly payments of somebody else who did it 3 or 4 years ago, so therefore you creatively look for solutions that solve your problems. And you don't read what you read in the newspaper. I hate it when people not because I hate what you just said, but it's macroeconomics. I don't make my decisions on macroeconomics. If properties are generally exploding in value, I don't care. I'm looking for a highly motivated seller who will sell to me way below the market price. I don't want to play the speculation game. And so, does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. That's just because you make your money on the buy, right?
That's right. And you make your money the day you buy it. Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. So, you don't even care about what the market does because you're always finding your own micro deals. Well,
I care in the fact that I realize that there is no bad time to buy real estate. It's just a bad strategy. So right now, the strategy would be it's because it's a little harder to flip properties. Like a couple of years ago, fix it up, put it on the market, it's gone in a day, Yeah. Today it's a lot slower than that, and sometimes people get into trouble that way. So the bottom line is for you to get into this game and to play an unconventional game. I'm the unconventional guy, and most people are conventional. You're a realtor, what's a realtor going to do? They're only looking for a person who can qualify with a high net worth and cash flow and big job and high good credit. Guess what percent of the people really can do that? Like 10%? I want to talk to the 90% who can't qualify for a loan, who are terrified to go show their financials to a banker or a mortgage lender. I want to show you how you can play in this game with zero money. Is that possible? Well, it is possible. I can't tell you how many tens of thousands of people have done this because they don't listen to what the traditional, conventional people tell them about what's possible in the macro world. I'm micro. Let's go for the little niche. And that's what we do.
I love that. And that's where you provide the real value, because if you buy things the traditional way, you will never, get a deal because you're not providing any extra value for the deal. And so you'll have to purchase at the market price.
So in other words, don't pay retail, buy wholesale. Always.
Yeah.
Always. Unless the retail price that a seller wants to sell it to you, unless you know something that the seller doesn't know. If you know that the price that they're offering you, which seems to be retail, is really wholesale because the property is located in an area where it's about to explode in value. A new university is going in, a mall is going in, or you can change the zoning from residential to commercial, where you have a way of dramatically increasing the value of that property, even though they have a retail price ordinarily. If you know a little stuff behind the scenes, you're willing to pay retail, but very, very rarely. You want to always think wholesale because you're a business person. I mean, how much money would a suit seller make if they bought a suit for $200 and sold it to you for $200? There's no profit. No profit, no business. You're a business person. Be smart.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about, will the market crash? I mean, does it really matter, right? Because if you're always looking for the micro deal, that's what you want. What about the future of home ownership? If housing affordability is getting harder and harder, are more and more Americans going to be priced out of the market? Is now the time to buy because it'll only be harder in the future?
Will the American dream ever die? Will people, ordinary families, like to live in apartment buildings for the rest of their life? They do that in Europe, but we are not Europe yet. There's still lots of ground, lots of places to expand into single-family homes. It's the American dream. It'll never die. In your lifetime, it'll never die. So there will always be people who will want to buy those homes, and they're always, as they say, they are always making tricycle motors. A tricycle motor is families are creating kids, so they're always going to need new homes. Now, what about the affordability index? Why is it gone up, meaning, or I guess it's gone down? The affordability index, it means fewer people can afford to get into that traditional home. It's because prices went up and interest rates went up. And therefore, to get into a home is much more expensive. It's 50% more expensive than it was maybe 12 months ago. And therefore, fewer people are priced out of the marketplace. And if you really believe what I just told you, it's because you're thinking macro. You're thinking what you read in the newspapers. Don't listen to that stuff. You get to find highly motivated sellers where you negotiate at a lower interest rate or assume they're low interest rate mortgages, or you're buying it way below the market because they need to sell. And therefore, I play wholesale like that. And a realtor won't tell you to do that. You know how the realtor gets the listing? Especially when the market's hot. They promise that they'll get you the moon in real estate prices. I don't want somebody to pre-sell a homeowner and get a listing because they increased the price. I know what I'm talking about. I was a realtor for 3 years. I know the game. And so in order just to get a listing, you have to promise a higher price. I don't want them to have somebody think that way. I want to have a seller think, hey, I got to get rid of this thing. And only 1 in 20 sellers are like that. Therefore, I look for the 1 in 20. I don't look for the 19 in 20 because those are all retail deals. I want the wholesale deal. They're harder to find. There's no doubt about it. But how many do you need? You need 2 a year. Times 10 years, you're rich beyond your dreams. You need 5 if you want to be rich faster. 10 if you're just like wildly aggressive. You can count that on your fingers. You can do 10 in a year, but you probably won't. You'll probably do 4 or 5, 2 or 3 good ones. Those 2 or 3 good ones will make you more money than you're working at a job you hate. So why don't you spend full time at it?
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, speaking of scaling and doing many of these properties, what is your personal threshold for leverage that you like to take on? Legally, when you buy a home, the threshold is 45%, right? But what kind of leverage do you like to have?
100%. That's what nothing down is. It's 100% leverage.
Yeah.
Now, when I made my first $1 million, I started with $1,000. And I bought my first property from a highly motivated seller. Then I parlayed that. I sold it within a month. I increased my $1,000 into $6,000, and I went and bought a 7-unit apartment building. And then I increased that in value, got better renters, higher rent. Then I parlayed that into a 12-unit apartment building. So I just kept going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. My challenge to you is to parlay whatever you have into whatever you want. And some of you will do just 1 or 2 in a short period of time. Some of you really go at this full time. I know some people who do this full time and buy, who have under contract right now 20 properties this month. And they are aggressive, big time aggressive. But they do this from a computer. They almost never look at these properties. They're buying nationwide with a team of people in Venezuela who find the deals for them. They bring them the deals and they wholesale them. They get rid of them immediately. There's just so many ways to make money these days. Not just the traditional, ordinary way like I've always told you. I've always said, never buy a property outside a 50-mile radius of your own home, because as a beginning investor, you don't want to make mistakes, and you want those mistakes to be too expensive. But I'm telling you, I think because of the technology these days, which is new, I didn't have that technology when I did my things. Now the technology is available for you to see every property that's in America, look online and actually physically see those properties, drive up and down the street of any property in the United States, and do your comp analysis, your comparative market analysis from your bedroom on a computer, buy, tie up, and flip a property with never seeing the property and never owning it. I mean, it's just like blows my mind of the powerful ways there are these days. So you don't listen to macro news. What, do you really think a reporter knows what to look for? A reporter doesn't like business people anyway, and therefore they're not going to report the kind of stuff you need to know as an investor, as a creative investor. So do it micro millions.
I love that. And especially for newspapers, they will always have, fearful headlines, because that's what people read.
Yeah, so that's what they read.
They just scare other investors off the market, which I guess is good for us, right?
It's good. It's happened. We've seen it happen.
Yeah.
In just a few months, we've basically seen people lining up to buy one property and increasing their property value by 10 or 15% because everybody's fighting for that one deal. And we've seen that all go away. Nobody's lining up to buy the real estate. And we're just rubbing our hands. We're going, ooh, baby, we've been waiting for this for like 10 years. We've been waiting for this. This is time now.
I love that. And yeah, I mean, this should be your motivation to go out there and get it, because even though the press is saying this, I mean, housing will always be a decentralized market. There is no housing exchange, that's nationwide with instant price corrections. It will always have deals. And so you guys should get out there. Thank you so much, Bob, for coming in and inspiring us. We'll see you on the next one.